Barbara Arrowsmith-Young was born with multiple learning disabilities. For more than 20 years, she struggled to read, write or tell the time. Remarkably, she's trained her brain to overcome her disabilities and has helped thousands of others do the same. Now she's planning to help Kiwi kids. Welcome, Barbara. It is such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
You know, people are passionate about all sorts of things. For you, it is the brain.
It is the brain. I mean, I think it's this incredible organ that we carry with us everywhere we go, and if there's a problem, it really impacts the person in being able to function.
So you were told back in 1959 that you had a mental block. That's what they called it.
Yes.
And you were told just to live with that.
That's right. That's right. Because the belief at that point was the brain was fixed, that if you had a problem, you had to learn to live with your limitations. There was nothing that you could do. And we know now the brain isn't fixed, that we can change it as a result of stimulation or experience to actually make it work more effectively.
Oh, it's so fascinating. So in today's terms, what sorts of things, what did you have?
I guess it would be maybe called auditory processing. I mean, really, I had a lot of trouble understanding language. So even this conversation, I would struggle to understand what you were asking me or what you were saying, because I just couldn't attach meaning to language. So that was really hard. So comprehension, understanding logic, mathematics, even jokes, because you have to understand the language in a joke. So I was socially isolated, and then I had a spatial problem, so I would get lost all the time. And I had what I call kinesthetics. I didn't know where the left side of my body was in space, so I was clumsy, awkward, bruised, banged, so I wasn't good in terms of sports. So I wasn't good academically.
Awful.
It was. It was very, very isolating.
Yeah. So, I mean, and so much so that in year 8, or grade 8, which would be, what, 12? 13?
Yes, 13.
You attempted suicide.
I did, because I couldn't imagine. It was so hard just getting through primary school. How could I go on to high school? I just couldn't imagine. And that's how much despair I was feeling.
Thankfully, that didn't work.
No.
We're very thankful for that. At what point, fast forward to, at what point did you start to realise what you could do and how you could change your brain?
It was really in my mid-20s, so I was 25, and I was very lucky to come across the work of a Russian neuropsychologist who was studying people that had very localized brain wounds after World War II and trying to understand what the brain does. And he wrote a book called The Man with the Shattered World, which was the story of a Russian soldier. And I knew I didn't have a bullet in my head, but my experience was exactly the same as this soldier. I couldn't tell time, I couldn't understand, you know, conversations, all of the things that he couldn't do, I had never been able to do. So now I knew it was my brain that wasn't working. And then there was research coming out of Berkeley in California looking at neuroplasticity, which is that idea that the brain isn't fixed, that it can change. So I thought if I could find a way to exercise my brain, maybe I could change it.
And you did.
And I did.
Can you give me a sort of a basic example of the sort of exercises you did and how it started?
Well, it was really simple. I decided to use clocks because not that I wanted to get better at telling time, which I did, but I wanted to make my brain work to process relationships, to understand meaning. And what is a clock but a relationship between an hour hand and a minute hand? So it was really designing an exercise to force that part of my brain to work really, really hard. And now we actually have 10-handed clocks. So yes, somebody has to understand 10 relationships. No. I mean, but what I found is after I got to a certain point in the exercise, yes, I could tell time, but I could listen to people and understand. I could open a book, read a page, and I could understand. And I'd never been able to do that before. I'd lived in what I called lag time. I was hours behind everybody else. And now I could listen or read and understand in what I call real time.
And how long did it take until you could change your brain to the point where it was normal for you to be able to just look at your watch and tell the time?
For me, it was 4 months, but it was because I was really determined. I was working 10, 11, 12 hours a day on that cognitive function. Most students that I work with are coming in with multiple areas of problem, and it's anywhere between a 2 to 4 year program to work on all of those areas. But by the end of it, the child never looks back. They walk out the door and they can remember, they can read, they can think, they can problem solve, they can read non-verbally. The world has changed because the brain has changed.
It's truly amazing. What's happening here in New Zealand? What's your connection with us?
Well, the program is going into a school, Finlayson Park School, and I'm really, really excited. So I'm here to talk about my work here in Auckland and in Wellington.
So it's just the one school at the moment?
Just the one school at the moment, but it just has to start with one school.
Yeah, and these kids will learn this during their school time. It'll be part of their lessons?
It will be part of their day, and that's the best way to deliver this program, is because it normalizes it. Students go to school during the day,
Yeah.
And so part of the day they're going to do cognitive programs to strengthen their brain, and the other part of the day they'll learn their academic curriculum.
What's your success rate?
It's about 85%, as long as we can get the individual engaged with the exercise and we have the right programs for their problem areas, and I have programs for 19 different cognitive functions.
Yeah.
We have about an 85% success rate.
Do you have a vision for the Arrowsmith program where, you know, where you would like it to be?
Yes, I do. I would like to see this program as a normal part of curriculum in grade 1. So imagine every child walking through the door of grade 1. Part of the day they work on cognitive exercises to strengthen their brain, because what do we learn with but our brain? And part of the day they do academic work. And then children actually would never really get identified as having a learning disability, because it's just a normal part of curriculum. And it breaks my heart that there's still such struggle and stigma around having a learning disability.
Because nobody should be told what you were told in 1959. Just live with it.
That's right. Just live with it. And that I would never learn like other children do.
And look at you. That's the most phenomenal thing, is that somebody with the disabilities, the learning issues that you had, you've done this. It's staggering. It's a brilliant book, The Woman Who Changed Her Brain. Thank you so much for coming in, Barbara.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have you here. Barbara's speaking at the University of Auckland tonight and in Wellington on August the 19th. Details on our website. You say people can just come along?
Yes.
Turn up, have a listen. Very, very cool. Tomorrow on the show, Grammy Award-winning Juice Newton is here. Kate Langdon reviews the latest reads. Oh, there's one in particular that sounds so, so good. And we've got a number from West Auckland Saints Up Performing Arts Group as well. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow.